Hey guys, today we're diving into another truly horrifying case. If you want to support my channel, make sure to subscribe and stay active. It really helps me out. I'd be super grateful for that. Let's get started. Addiction has the power to completely take over a person's mind and will, pushing them toward some of the most disturbing and chilling actions. It doesn't matter whether the dependency is on alcohol, banned substances, gambling, or even another person. Its grip can be equally destructive. While some individuals come to realize they've become hostages or even slaves to their compulsions, in most cases, the issue is simply ignored. Over time, it worsens, because the person affected often believes they can stop whenever they choose. The tragic story of Donna and Gulam Mundra is sadly not unique, but back in 2005, it sent shockwaves through the quiet, picturesque town of Hermitage, Pennsylvania. For the locals, this dynamic and successful couple were almost like hometown celebrities. He was a well-known and respected physician with his own clinic. She was a stunning beauty, nearly 25 years younger than him. To everyone around them, their life seemed picture-perfect, an ideal, thriving relationship. But on a warm day in May, a single gunshot shattered that illusion, exposing a much darker truth filled with betrayal, dependency, and overwhelming greed. Gulam Mundra was born and raised in the slums of Hyderabad, one of the largest cities in India. From an early age, he experienced the harsh realities of poverty and hunger. But perhaps it was those difficult circumstances that forged his strong character and gave him a clear goal: to escape poverty and build a better life. He worked tirelessly, focused on being the best, and eventually set his sights on a career in medicine. After finishing high school, Gulam was accepted into a medical university, where he quickly rose to the top of his class. Before long, fortune smiled on him again. He was offered a chance to intern overseas at one of the most prestigious clinics in the United States. He worked in the urology department, quickly earning a reputation as a promising young specialist with a bright future. Following his internship, Gulam received a lucrative job offer and decided to stay in the U.S. He also began the process of applying for citizenship. By the mid-1970s, he had settled in Pennsylvania, in a quiet little town called Hermitage, with a population of just over 16,000. There, he soon opened his own clinic focused on urological care. His career took off rapidly. Gulam was a top-tier professional, incorporating cutting-edge technology and the latest equipment into his practice. His clinic became one of the best in the state. He took on the most challenging and seemingly hopeless cases, and patients came to him from even outside the country. Dr. Mundra was admired not just for his expertise, but also for his generosity. He often treated people without charging a dime, and would even purchase expensive medications out of his own pocket for those who couldn't afford them. His empathy stemmed from personal experience. He never forgot his own hungry and difficult childhood, and it fueled his desire to help others. With a successful practice, Gulam earned a substantial income. He bought a luxurious home in an upscale neighborhood and enjoyed a life of comfort. He believed in living fully, spending on things that brought him joy: delicious food, travel, luxury watches, rare collectibles, high-end cars, and time with beautiful companions. Well into his 40s, he remained a lifelong bachelor, until one day, everything changed when he happened to see a young woman named Donna walking down the street. He fell for her instantly. Donna Smouse was 24 years younger than Gulam. She had grown up in a devout Catholic family and had just graduated from high school when she met the doctor. At first, she was cautious about the attention from an older man and kept her distance, but she did accept his lavish gifts and allowed him to pursue her. Donna's family struggled financially, and they couldn't afford to send her to a prestigious college. When Gulam learned this, he offered to cover her tuition, especially since Donna had aspirations of working in healthcare. He helped her become a registered nurse and later paid for her to complete a master's degree in anesthesiology. Their romantic relationship didn't begin until several years after they met. Surprisingly, Despite their religious values, Donna's parents didn't object. They were fond of the kind and generous doctor who had supported their daughter's education and well-being. Donna went on to become a top-level nurse anesthetist and found a position at a major medical center. Gulam continued to support her ambitions, helping her advance professionally. The couple lived in his luxurious home. He gifted her an expensive car, showered her with jewelry, and took her to high-end vacation spots. Gulam proposed to Donna when she turned 30. By then, he was 54. She said yes, and the couple held a lavish wedding ceremony attended by more than 150 guests, including family, friends, and many of Gulam's professional colleagues and business partners. It seemed like they were set for a long and happy life together, and at first, everything did go smoothly. Donna and Gulam became local celebrities in their town and were likely the wealthiest residents around. They had everything money could buy, traveled often, and the doctor spared no expense when it came to his much younger wife. The couple regularly attended charity galas and were always seen together at public events. Donna decided to focus on her career and didn't rush into starting a family. Gulam respected her decision and never pressured her. People saw Donna as upbeat, friendly, and full of life. At least that was the image she projected until tragedy began to unravel her world. At the age of 37, Donna lost her father after his long battle with a serious illness. It was a crushing blow. She had always been close to him, often called a daddy's girl, and saw him as her greatest source of strength. After his passing, Donna fell into a deep emotional spiral. She withdrew from everyone and even spoke about not wanting to go on. Gulam tried to support his wife in every way he could. He fulfilled her every wish, even taking her to Hawaii for a change of scenery, but nothing seemed to help except for antidepressants, which she began taking in increasingly high doses. Donna buried herself in work, searching for comfort in her routine, but it brought no real relief. A few years later, Donna was diagnosed with a kidney condition that caused severe back pain. Although her husband was a renowned urologist, even he couldn't fully alleviate her suffering. The treatments only provided temporary relief, and the symptoms kept returning, stronger each time. In desperation, Donna became reliant on strong pain medication, so much so that she began secretly taking doses from her workplace. Since she was responsible for managing and administering medications, it was easy for her to skim small amounts unnoticed. She would discreetly use portions intended for patients, just enough from each dose to go undetected. Combined with her antidepressants, the prescription painkillers numbed both her physical and emotional pain. Donna felt like the world had turned its back on her, and she was left alone to face her struggles. She began to drift away from Gulam, despite his continued care and concern for her well-being. Eventually, things spiraled out of control. Donna's dependence on the medications grew so intense that she could no longer function without them. She began increasing her dosages and stealing more frequently. It was only a matter of time before her actions drew attention. She was caught red-handed, and there was no denying what had happened. Her dismissal from the clinic was scandalous, and criminal charges were filed against her on multiple counts. Gulam immediately stepped in to protect his wife, doing everything possible to contain the situation and preserve her reputation. Thanks to his efforts, none of their friends or family ever found out about Donna's dependency. Instead of facing jail time, she paid a large fine and agreed to undergo rehabilitation at a specialized facility. Gulam personally selected the center and arranged for Donna's stay, telling relatives, neighbors, and friends that she had gone on a vacation. No one questioned him. He was calm, persuasive, and remained as cheerful and sociable as ever. While at the rehab center, Donna, now well into her 40s, met a much younger man named Damian Bradford. Damian was 23 and had a record of multiple offenses related to the distribution of banned substances. He landed in rehab after a severe overdose that nearly cost him his life. Despite their age difference, Donna and Damian quickly formed a close bond and became nearly inseparable. They shared many of the same struggles, and although their connection seemed unusual, it quickly turned intense. What began as simple conversations evolved into a passionate affair. Donna's husband was approaching 70, and due to his age and existing health issues, their physical relationship had all but faded. Meanwhile, Damian was young, energetic, physically fit, and undeniably attractive. He spent a lot of time at the gym, but to maintain his physique, he frequently relied on steroids and various supplements. It's hard to pinpoint what exactly drew Damian to a woman 2 decades older than him, but for Donna, he became a breath of fresh air, someone who reawakened feelings she thought she'd lost. She surrendered herself completely to this connection, quickly becoming emotionally consumed. Despite strict rules at the rehabilitation center against romantic involvement between patients, the two began meeting in secret. They sought privacy wherever they could, in storage rooms, restrooms, and other out-of-sight areas. The danger of being caught only intensified their bond. Donna became so wrapped up in the affair that she couldn't imagine life without him. Their relationship didn't end when they left the rehab facility. Damian was a passionate partner who showered Donna with attention, called her affectionate nicknames, and seemed to genuinely enjoy making her feel special. It's entirely possible that he developed real feelings for this elegant, confident woman who had clearly taken care of herself. By this time, Donna was no longer working, but she had full access to all of her husband's bank accounts and could spend freely. Gulam never questioned her about expenses or how much money she was using. Taking advantage of this, Donna began pampering Damian with expensive gifts, designer clothes, accessories, and even covering all his living expenses. She rented him a cozy apartment where they could meet in private. Essentially, Damian became financially dependent on his affluent lover, but neither of them seemed to mind. Prior to moving in alone, Damian had shared a modest apartment on the outskirts of town with a woman named Charlene McFraser. As it turned out, they weren't just roommates. They were romantically involved, and Charlene considered herself Damian's fiancée. When she discovered he had left her for an older woman, it stung deeply. Her pride wounded, Charlene began tracking the couple. She soon found out where Damian had moved and who he was seeing. She learned Donna's full name and the fact that Donna was married to a wealthy and well-connected man. Feeling betrayed and furious, Charlene decided to expose the affair. She went straight to Gulam's clinic and told him everything. That his wife had been seeing a much younger man behind his back. Gulam had long suspected something was wrong. He noticed the changes in Donna's behavior, but had chosen not to confront her. He understood she was much younger, that she had emotional and physical needs he could no longer meet, and he had long since come to terms with their passion fading over time. So instead of anger, he approached the situation calmly and asked Donna if they needed to part ways. Donna was stunned when she found out that Gulam knew about her affair. But she reassured him it was nothing more than a fleeting distraction, something that happened during a difficult time. She admitted to meeting the young man during rehab when she was at her lowest and needed support, and he seemed to understand what she had gone through better than anyone. She told Gulam that despite everything, he was still the one she loved, and promised to cut ties with the younger man because he didn't truly matter to her. Gulam, moved by her words, chose to believe her. He forgave her and decided they could move on together, as if nothing had happened. In reality, Damian had become Donna's new and overwhelming dependency, one she simply couldn't shake. She felt irresistibly drawn to him. Around Damian, she once again felt young, desired, and genuinely cared for. Her thoughts began to revolve around one goal: removing the one obstacle that stood in the way of her happiness, her husband. The affair continued at the apartment she had rented for Damian, though now they were much more cautious. Gulam believed the fling was over, and Donna intended to keep it that way. When they couldn't meet in person, the two were constantly in touch, calling up to 20 times a day and exchanging hundreds of messages. Donna had no intention of letting go of her boyfriend. There were also selfish motives at play. A divorce would mean losing the financial security Donna enjoyed. Prior to getting married, she and Gulam had signed a prenuptial agreement that limited her share to $250,000 if they separated. However, once Gulam discovered she had been unfaithful, he tried to handle things quietly and even offered to raise the settlement to a full $1 million to avoid public scandal. Donna rejected the offer, convincing her husband that she still loved him and wanted to save their marriage. But in truth, the doctor's net worth had grown to nearly $12 million, and the proposed amount wasn't enough for her. Driven by greed, Donna wanted everything, immediate access to wealth so she and Damian could live freely and indulge in whatever they pleased. Every time they met, Donna painted Gulam as a controlling tyrant, someone who emotionally suffocated her and treated her like property. She wanted Damian to view her husband as the enemy, someone who deserved payback for the emotional pain he allegedly caused. Her manipulative storytelling worked perfectly. A dark plan began to take shape in Donna's troubled mind, one she intended to carry out with the help of her young lover. She figured that since Gulam was much older and battling several chronic health conditions, his time was limited anyway. So, why not just accelerate the inevitable? To Donna, it seemed like the perfect solution. No one would interfere in her new life, and she would legally inherit all of Gulam's assets, properties, and wealth as his surviving spouse. She laid out her plan to Damian, promising him half of Gulam's fortune if he helped her take care of the problem. Damian didn't hesitate. The promise of a massive payout was more than enough to cloud his judgment. Together, they began planning the crime. People around Gulam knew he always carried a significant amount of cash in his wallet. He often joked that if anyone ever tried to rob him, they'd leave happy. Donna and Damian decided to use this to their advantage and stage the event as a failed mugging that turned into a tragic incident. The plan took nearly 2 months to develop. Donna and her partner in crime worked meticulously, trying to think through every detail to avoid mistakes. During this time, Donna played the role of the devoted wife flawlessly. She stayed close to her husband, accompanied him everywhere, and ensured no one suspected any trouble in their marriage. Friends and neighbors genuinely believed they were a happy couple. Even Gulam believed it. Their first attempt to carry out the plan failed. Bradford was supposed to ambush Gulam as he walked from the hospital to his car in the parking lot. But there were too many people around, and Damian backed off, fearing the presence of too many witnesses. It took them another month to come up with a new plan. This time, they decided to strike on a deserted road where no one would be around to interfere. The idea was simple. Damian would follow their car at a safe distance, and Donna would pull over at a prearranged spot under the pretense of a medical emergency. The planned date was Friday, May 13th, 2005. On that day, Dr. Mundra had scheduled a trip to a neighboring state to check out a house he intended to buy as a wedding gift for his nephew. Donna volunteered to come along, but her 72-year-old mother, who was visiting them at the time, insisted on joining the trip as well. Donna tried to discourage her, but Gulam saw no problem with it and agreed to bring his mother-in-law. Damian dressed in all black, including ski goggles to hide his face. He got into his car and waited for a message from Donna that would signal their vehicle had left the house. Once he received it, he followed the agreed route, keeping a safe distance behind. After a stop to refuel, Donna took the wheel, wanting to maintain control over the timing. As they drove along a desolate highway, she faked a sudden illness and pulled over, claiming she needed to take her medication. Just then, a black Volkswagen pulled up behind them. A man in ski goggles jumped out, ran to the passenger side where Gulam was seated, pointed a firearm at his head, and demanded his wallet. The older doctor didn't resist. He handed over his wallet without argument. But as soon as the attacker got the money, he pulled the trigger. Then he bolted back to his vehicle and sped off into the distance. The bullet struck Gulam in the head. He died instantly. Donna called emergency services, screaming and crying, begging them to save her husband. She portrayed the image of a devastated widow so convincingly that no one initially suspected she could have played any role in what had happened. But inconsistencies in the accounts emerged quickly. From the very first interviews, it was clear something was off. Donna claimed she didn't see the attacker or his car. It had all happened so fast, and she was in shock. Her mother, however, had a completely different version. She said she clearly saw the assailant and the vehicle. According to the elderly woman, the person who shot her son-in-law was a young black man driving a black Volkswagen. Donna was visibly shaken by this and even argued with her mother, trying to convince her she must have been mistaken. But the woman stood firm and began offering more and more specific details. Donna claimed that they had pulled over because Gulam asked her to. But her mother told a different story. She said it was her daughter who pulled the car over, pretending to feel unwell. Investigators also questioned why the assailant only harmed one person, while leaving two potential witnesses unharmed. 2 days after the incident, Dr. Mundra's widow held a press conference. With tears in her eyes, she responded to reporters' questions and made an emotional appeal to the public, asking anyone who might have information about the case to come forward and assist with the investigation. Soon after the press conference, police received a phone call from a woman who claimed that the real mastermind behind the incident was none other than Donna herself, and that she had been assisted by her lover, Damian Bradford. The caller also provided the make and license plate number of Damian's vehicle and even his home address. That caller turned out to be Charlene McFraser, the same woman who considered herself Damian's fiancée. She had been following the couple closely and shared everything she knew. That same day, police arrested Damian and searched his apartment. While he had managed to dispose of the weapon, for reasons unknown, he had kept the victim's wallet and brought it home. Inside were around $3,000 in cash, several bank cards in Dr. Gulam Mundra's name, and a photo of Donna. Authorities also found clothing with small bloodstains matching the doctor's. Damian was booked and taken into custody. He was under the illusion that his wealthy lover would take care of everything and somehow get him released. But Donna, fearing for her own freedom, chose to remain silent, hoping all the blame would fall on Damian, especially since the physical evidence was stacked against him. When prosecutors informed Damian that he could face the death penalty, he agreed to cooperate in exchange for a reduced sentence. He revealed the entire plot, providing text messages and documentation, including proof that Donna had bought him the car he was driving. Damian pled guilty to the crime and testified in court, sharing all the details of the scheme. In light of his cooperation, he was sentenced to 17.5 years in prison. Donna, on the other hand, was found guilty as the primary orchestrator of the crime. She received a life sentence without the possibility of parole. She has never admitted to any wrongdoing. Thanks for watching, everyone. Your support means a lot to me, and you can help my channel grow by hitting that like button, dropping a comment, and sharing this video. Your engagement really makes a difference. See you soon.